The world is home to very few countries that enjoy respect through the international community, especially in the Middle East and North Africa regions. However, given its long civilizational heritage and proud history, Egypt enjoys respect and reverence throughout the region. This is amply visible by the fact that it is under the mediatorship of Egypt that peace between Israel and Palestine have been reached time and again. The most recent being last year's ceasefire in Gaza. Hello and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Atul Mishra, and in this video I will tell you how Egypt can actually put an end to the Ukraine-Russia crisis. Let's begin. For the uninitiated, there's a warlike situation on the Ukraine-Russia border. Russia has mobilized 100,000 troops, and Ukraine is standing its ground while denying that there is any real threat from Russia. Russia, on the other hand, is opposed to extension of NATO on its gates. NATO countries are duty-bound to help each other in an event of a war. But it's not the 1960s, and the EU is increasingly getting miffed at the USA's constant deceptions. It was an American president that exposed them to the hellfires of the Middle East. And it was an American president, again, who oversaw the worst evacuation exercise in modern history. Additionally, France, the current leader of the European Union, was irked by the US when the latter went ahead with the AUKUS deal with Australia, which resulted into the cancellation of a major defense deal for France. A France-led EU has left its NATO comrades to fend for themselves for now, because it's the Russian gas that powers Europe. So Biden is now on a gas deal hunting expedition for the European Union. But France has an entirely different plan, a plan that features Egypt. Hey, it's me, Atul. I started this channel. We started small, we went big. Suddenly, the Whitey police was after us. We dodged and ducked, but the algos got us really bad. So we designed our own app. It's free. We never asked for money, we never will. But the droid called us too sensitive and blocked us. We still have an Apple app. Join us and fast, because if you don't, we will cease to exist. Check out the link in the description. Egypt has regained its significant geopolitical clout in the Middle East since it was able to play a major role in the management of escalations between Israel and Hamas last year. As the influence of US under the Biden administration has depleted in the Middle East, the importance of Cairo has increased exponentially. However, this is not the end of al-Sisi's ambitions. As the leverage of gas supplies to Europe has become central to the Ukraine-Russia crisis, the importance of Egypt as the perfect mediator has gained international importance. In recent times, Egypt has invited the interests of France as Emmanuel Macron looks to peacefully end the current crisis between Ukraine and Russia. You see, the current US President Joe Biden has been trying to use the North Atlantic Treaty Organization for maintaining its supremacy in Europe. For this very reason, he has been artificially fomenting escalations with Russia on the behest of Ukraine, while the entire European continent is aware of their over-the-top energy dependence on Russia and thus want peaceful resolution of the issue. Biden has an entirely different agenda. To make sure his agenda is not compromised, Joe Biden is appeasing long-standing enemies of the US allies so that European Union's dependence on the USA remains constant. Recently, the US said that it will be meeting with the officials of Eni Total Energies and other energy companies operating in Algeria to see if more gas can be sourced from the country. The move comes as Washington intensifies efforts to find alternative gas supplies for Europe in case any disruption arises from the standoff between Russia and Ukraine. However, this is not out of any altruism. Biden wants to make sure any replacement to gas supplies to Europe come from a US-managed channel. Emmanuel Macron understands the selfish designs of Joe Biden. France is chairing the European Council in the first half of 2022, and his successful mediation efforts would definitely help legitimize the French leadership of the bloc. Not only this, but making Europe energy independent will also give a free hand to Macron with respect to the overall foreign and economic policies of the European Union. This is where Egypt comes into picture. On Friday, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron addressed recent developments in Libya as well as coordinated efforts to restore security and stability in the region. This occurred during their meeting in Brest, France, where the Egyptian president was attending the One Ocean Summit. Libya also becomes important because it can be the replacement to the offer of energy supply from Algeria, which Joe Biden is professing. By circumventing Joe Biden's Algeria offer, Macron will not only ensure not getting trapped by a US offer, but it will also remove any shackle that a US-dependent EU may have had to endure. Libya, at 53 trillion cubic feet, is ranked 21st in the world for proven gas reserves. Libya has proven reserves that are equal to 338.2 times its annual consumption, omitting unproven reserves. When all of its reserves are considered, net exports account for barely 0.3% of total reserves. This tells us the immense potentiality of the country as a source that can quench European gas needs. However, given the unstable political situation in the country, it becomes difficult to utilize its potential. This is where a reinvigorated Egypt under al-Sisi comes into the picture. During the recent meeting between the two leaders, Macron appreciated the Egyptian efforts to safeguard Libyan national institutions and enhance the path of the political settlement of the crisis. In line with this, on Thursday, the Egyptian Ministry of Foreign Affairs shared in a statement following the appointment of Bashar Haga as head of the Libyan government that Egypt trusts the ability of the new Libyan government to ensure security, unity, and sovereignty of the country. These efforts by Egypt to stabilize its neighborhood is in the direct interest of France and the European Union. By making sure that Joe Biden does not get a say in the supply of gas to Europe, and by creating an independent source of energy supply, Macron will be able to solve the current crisis between Ukraine and Russia peacefully. However, things will entirely depend on how successful Egypt is in ensuring a consistent energy supply to Europe via Libya, making it central to the entire chain of events.